Here's the second half of Gail Gibbons's The Moon Book. If you missed the first half, go ahead and check out the link in the comments so that you get caught up before you read this half with me today. Bye. Solar eclipse. Ooh, we have not gotten to talk about this in our class. As the moon orbits Earth, it passes between the sun and the Earth as a new moon. Sometimes the moon lines up just right and casts a shadow on Earth. This is called a solar eclipse. Here's a little solar eclipse project. Next time a solar eclipse passes near our area. Here's how to make a sun projector to see a picture of a solar eclipse. Warning, never look directly at a solar eclipse. The sun's rays can hurt your eyes. Step 1 is poke a pin through the center of a piece of heavy paper that is a little bigger than this book. Not really helpful in this case, you don't have the book, but you need a nice big piece of paper. That's your projector. Stand with your back to the sun. Hold the projector at your shoulder as sunlight shines through the hole. Hold another piece of paper on your other hand. This is your screen. Move both papers until an image of the eclipse appears on the screen. So you can actually get a little picture of the sun shining on the moon and that shadow cast on Earth for yourself. The moon's shadow falls on Earth. A solar eclipse can last up to 7.5 minutes. That's not actually that long, is it? I got to go see a solar eclipse in person, and I was out in Nebraska, and I laid down on the ground to see the moon pass directly in front of the sun with my special solar eclipse glasses on, and it was a cloudy day, so I didn't really get to see it happen all that well, but it was still pretty neat, even under the clouds. Lunar eclipse. When the sun, Earth, and moon are exactly lined up, a lunar eclipse happens. As in a solar eclipse, the moon's orbit is not tilted. Earth blocks off the sunlight that usually lights up the moon. The moon has a reddish glow. Lunar comes from luna, the Latin word for moon. All stages of the lunar eclipse can take about 6 hours. So a solar eclipse is when the sun casts the moon's shadow on the Earth, and the lunar eclipse is when the sun casts the Earth's shadow on the moon. So the solar is the thing that's getting blocked out. The lunar in the lunar eclipse is the thing that's getting darkened in both cases. All right. High tide happens about every 13 hours. Interesting. The moon affects the oceans too. The moon's pull, called gravity on the oceans, is strong enough to cause tides. Tides are the daily rising and falling of the ocean's waters. Low tide also happens about every 13 hours. So here's high tide where the water's all the way up to the house. Low tide way down. This is because it takes about 25 hours to come back to the same place in the sky it was the night before. Tide differences vary around the world. So here are some key vocabulary words. If you don't know these, they're good to start thinking about and learning. Some binoculars are these little two eye holes that you can use to see far away. This is a telescope. Helps you see far away with just one hole. And this is an observatory. Basically a really, really big telescope that we point at different things in the sky. Some night sky gazers and astronomers can get a close-up view of the moon by looking through binoculars. Others look through telescopes. Some huge telescopes are used at observatories. A close-up view of the moon's surface shows dark patches astronomers call, do you guys remember this? Dark patches are maria, lunar seas. Other areas are covered with craters, mountains, and valleys. The lunar surface is so changeable and different. There's so much going on up there. The oldest identified moon crater is about 2 billion years old. Wow, that's old. For centuries, people have wanted to know more about our moon. In 1959, the Soviet spacecraft Luna 3 transmitted to Earth the first pictures of the far side or back of the moon. There aren't as many dark areas on that side as on the side we see from Earth. So remember, because the moon's face is always facing the Earth, we've never seen the behind side of the moon until the 1950s, when we finally sent a spacecraft to go take pictures. It was the first time anyone had ever seen that part of the moon. Even though the moon has always been with us, there's been parts that we could not see. until we managed to send a robot out there and say, hey, what's up, dark side of the moon? By the way, that word dark side of the moon is misleading. Sometimes that side of the moon has light on it, but we can't see it. The sun's light might shine on it, but we can't see the dark side of the moon. It's dark because we didn't know about it. We can't see it from Earth. It's not dark because it doesn't have the sun's light on it. A confusing thing that adults came up with, and they should have known better. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy made a commitment to put Americans on the moon before the end of the decade. At first, many American unmanned spacecraft were sent. Pictures were taken. Then, Surveyor 1 landed on the moon in 1966. It sent back information about the moon's surface. The first manned orbit of the moon was made by Apollo 8 astronauts in 1968. Cool, so here are some things that went to the moon after Luna 3. Surveyor 1 landed on the moon, and Apollo 8 had astronauts in it, people in it, going around the moon and seeing what was up. On July 20th, 1969, that's 51 years ago this summer, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin of the Apollo 11 mission became the first men to walk on the moon. There were 5 more Apollo landings on the moon. The last one, Apollo 17, was in 1972. The astronauts did experiments and gathered samples. Astronomers and other scientists were able to learn more about the history and nature of our moon. On a clear night, when the moon is in the sky, gaze up at it. We are still learning more about our closest neighbor, the moon. The end. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff here at the back. I would encourage you to take a look at this book on Epic Books. It's called, once again, The Moon Book by Gail Gibbons. All right, we'll see you later today. Bye for now.